Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Call roll, please.
Gary Farley.
Here.
Amber Brown.
Here.
Jerry Sartain.
Here.
Joe Machotto.
Here.
William Harper.
Here.
Renee Curtis.
Here.
Zane Cantrell.
Present.
We have a quorum.
You have the meeting minutes of the last meeting. Are there any changes or additions?
Move to approve. Second.
Have a motion they be approved and a second. Call a roll, please.
Farley.
Yes.
Amber Brown.
Yes.
Jerry Sartain.
Yes.
Joe Machotto.
Yes.
William Harper.
Yes.
Renee Curtis.
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes. We have a number of items and a number of people here to speak to these items. And those of you who, if you want to, normally we allow a 3-minute time, and I'll do my best to keep up with that for each person. But if you would like to nominate 1 or 2 people from your group to make statements for you, we will give them more time to do that. You don't have to do that. We'll listen to any and all of you at the appropriate time. The first part of this, of each presentation, we'll ask our staff to go over it as we did earlier today. And after that, we will ask the person who's making a request before us to come forward to the podium and then give us information. There may be questions from the board. After that, we will have a public hearing, and that's the time that you will be able to make your presentation to the BZA. But if you'd like to nominate 1 or 2 people to speak for you, we can move this quicker that way. So that would be up to you to do that. The first item of business is a request for sale of fireworks. And what do you have on that, please?
Thank you. Application 2021-12 involves a property located at 6858. Sorry. Application 2021-12 involves the location at 6858 Las Casas Pike. It's a request for temporary special exception approval allowing the sale of fireworks on a property located in the CS Commercial Services Zoning District. And the applicant is seeking approval to establish a fireworks tent on this property, which a fireworks tent has been located on previous years on this property, but the applicant is different this year. Mr. Zakaria is the applicant as well as the owner of the property, and they would like to operate the tent within the same parameters of all fireworks tents, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week, June 20th through July 1st, and remaining open until midnight on July 5th. And the applicant plans to have 2 employees stationed at the tent working throughout the operation of the tent. We received 1 informational call regarding this request, but no one indicated any opposition. And these are photos of the sign that we posted on the site. The site is developed as a Dollar General and a couple other stores, like a tobacco and beer store. The tent would be located in this corner, and we have a site plan that we can show you where you'll know where it's located on the site. There's adequate parking and traffic movement can flow freely. We have not had any issues with the prior tent that was located at this particular site. The site is also located across from the convenience center as well as a contractor's office and a mini storage facility. So we found that the request meets the criteria for temporary special exception approval, And this is the location of the tent. As you can see, it's towards the side, and none of the parking will be impacted or the flow of traffic on the site. And that concludes our presentation.
Okay, this is a same venue, but a just change of owners, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have anyone here representing this? Do you have anything you'd like to add to this request? Okay. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this. Close the public hearing. We have a motion on it.
Move to approve.
Have a motion to be approved.
I'll second it.
Have a second. Call a roll, please.
Gary Farley,
Yes.
Amber Brown,
Yes.
Joe Machado,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
William Harper,
Yes.
Renee Curtis,
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes. The next item is fireworks again. What do you have on that?
Thank you. Application 2021-13 involves property located at the corner of Epps Mill Road and Miller Lane. The applicant, TNT Fireworks, is seeking special exception approval, allowing the sale of fireworks from this property that's zone EAC, which is the Employment Activity Center zoning district. And the applicant has been located within this area for many years. However, they've had to relocate to different sites within this area because of development of the existing sites that they were located on, or the sale of the property that they were located at last year. They are seeking approval to be located across the street from their previous location for the month of the end of June through July 4th. And we have not had any issues in the past with their operation of tents at the previous locations. We had one informational call regarding this request, and we found that the request met the criteria for a temporary special exception approval. And so these are photos of the surrounding area. This is the site that they would be located on, and if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Any questions? Do we have anyone here representing this request? Okay. Do you have anything you want to add to this? Do you have any questions? Any questions? We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing.
Move to approve it.
Have a motion?
Second.
Have a second. Call a roll, please.
Gary Farley,
Yes.
Amber Brown,
Yes.
Joe Machado,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
William Harper,
Yes.
Renee Curtis, Zane Cantrell.
Yes. The next item we have is a request by Evelyn Hunt, who is requesting a major home business, and this is involving portable restrooms. What do you have on the rentals? What do you have on that, please?
Sure, thank you. 2021-14 involves the property located at 4917 Rucker Christiana Road. They are seeking special exception approval for the establishment of a major home-based business involving portable restroom rentals upon a property located in the RM zoning district. The site is a 5.82-acre site located along the section of Rucker Christiana Road. They reside at this property, and there are several outbuildings. There are additional outbuildings that are existing as opposed to what's shown on this aerial, which is taken from 2020. The applicant would like to store a few of the units and business materials on site. Some of the units would be located within this area that several buildings are constructed in a U-shaped manner to provide some screening to adjacent properties. And they would like to use one of the existing buildings, approximately 4,480 square feet of this structure to store materials related to the business. There's also an agricultural structure that's not part of this request, but it does also provide some screening from adjacent properties. The applicant is hoping to install additional trees along the property lines. However, this is the result of a code enforcement complaint for an unapproved business. This business was approved as a minor home-based business and had been operating under that those conditions until we had received several complaints for the business. It was inspected. It appeared that the business operations had expanded beyond the conditions for minor home-based businesses, and the applicant was informed to come and apply for a major home business to go before from the Board of Zoning Appeals. Now, the structures in the area that they are storing the materials and equipment is located approximately 900 feet off of the road. So you can see it's a rural area, large tracts with single-family homes. We have received several phone calls in opposition to this request with concerns related to the nature of the business, some concerns about the cleaning of the equipment on site. And we did receive some informational calls. Not all calls were in opposition to this request. And the applicant provided us with some photos of the structures that have been constructed since the last aerial was taken that we have on file. And you will see that he's constructed them in a manner to look like stables. So from what I understand, the applicant has tried to be sensitive to the surroundings, but they did go beyond the limits for minor home-based businesses, and they are trying to remedy the violation. And that concludes our presentation.
Do we have anyone here representing this request? If you'll come around, please, to the podium, there may be some questions here for you. Yeah, up here, please. If you'll give us your, turn around this way, facing. Okay? Give us your name and any additional information you want to share about this.
Travis Hunt. I really don't have any information to give, so to speak. We're just, my father built the buildings around there to shield everything. We have no intention of growing. As a matter of fact, we have an intention to more or less downsize a few things, you know, because it is me, my wife, and my mother who run the business, and we intend to keep it to that scale. But other than that, I really don't have anything else to say.
I've got a couple of questions.
Sure.
Knowing you had a minor home-based business prior, correct? You applied for that and you were approved for a minor?
I'm representing my father, and which he's in bad health and can't make it.
Okay, so are you the owner?
I'm not the owner now.
Okay.
My mother is sitting back there in the audience.
Okay.
Right now,
so a minor home-based business was approved prior to this. My question is, why was it violated and now it's turned into a request for a major home-based business? What caused the violations?
I don't know. I guess my dad was just building some, had some parking structures built. Next thing you know, the codes enforcement showed up.
Okay. All right. My next question is, how are these going to be cleaned?
They're just cleaned down. They're pumped out prior. The only time I ever wash anything out is just in an extreme case. I don't.
And you wash it out on location?
Yeah.
What do you do with the runoff with the gray water?
It goes gray water. It goes into a truck and it is pumped out by a septic company.
Mr. Hunt, could you speak into the microphone?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't like
No worries.
talking in front of people.
So basically, when you clean it out, it's saved and it's put into a truck and hauled off.
Yeah, it's in a small. I have a small pump truck that I don't run. anymore. It's just too small. So it just sits, and it's just for when I hose stuff out. So,
And it has a tank on it?
yeah,
to carry that?
stainless steel. Yeah, it's a truck designed for that, but it's just too small for me to service trailers with, and it just sits there.
So this was found after the buildings were being built, and then codes found out there was a violation, that it was more than a minor home-based business.
I assume so, yeah. Yeah, my father built the shop, and we had a small home-based business license. And then he was just kind of doing it in sections as we could afford. And we were made aware of this when the last little 4-bay little parking area, it's all it is, like tractor sheds, so you can park stuff in it. And we use it for the business. My dad uses it for, and us, we use it for storing tractor, our trucks, things like that, and building materials. And we use a little bit for everything.
All the buildings there are being used for business?
Not all of them, no. My dad also has a greenhouse that he is working on in his spare time, and also some of the little parking structures. The first one there on the left side is used for like just storing lumber, stuff like that, some of our trucks, and then some others, another couple of them are used for tractor implements, tractor, stuff like that. Amber?
I've got a few, so bear with me.
Okay.
I'm thinking about traffic because I don't understand the customer that you're serving. So what type of vehicles are you using to load up these, and what's the traffic looking like?
These are restroom trailers. They're like upscale trailers for weddings and events. They're not porta potties.
Okay, so in my mind, I'm thinking porta potties. I'm like, where is he taking these to? Okay.
Oh, no.
Perfect.
Yeah,
So
it's just 3/4 ton and 1 ton pickup trucks.
Okay.
Yeah.
How often are you, so still kind of going back to traffic and moving, how often are you?
It varies upon the season.
When's
like
your peak season?
spring, fall.
Okay, so what does that look like then?
Most of the times I'll have 3 or 4 trailers go out on a Friday.
Okay.
You know, it depends also. I also have long-term customers, you know, like such as TVA and people like that.
Okay.
They'll go out for months at a time and not come back, years at a time and not come back. It
Okay.
just depends on, you know, who calls us and who wants what. But during wedding season, normally most trailers go out on a Thursday or Friday, come back on a Monday or Tuesday.
Okay, so 2 other questions. Staff, do you all have any other outside staff come in? How many's on your?
Myself and my wife.
Okay, and then last question. In our presentation, Danielle mentioned that you all would be interested, or I guess put up some buffering on that left side. Why not on the right side?
It already has some existing trees.
Okay.
Down this right-hand side has some existing trees, and that's also the reason why my father built it in a horseshoe.
Sure.
And we're working a little bit as we have time and money.
Okay.
But now that we've got it kind of in a horseshoe shape, and we also have a gate framed, but we haven't put it up yet just because I don't know how, and my dad's kind of in bad health at the moment. He can't help me.
And you would be fine with putting that buffer on that left side of the property?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we have no problem with that. None whatsoever.
Okay, thank you.
Jerry?
Yeah, I got to go back to how long has these facilities been being brought onto this property?
Since it was actually since my parents bought the property. None of that, about 2 years?
So you had a minor-based business.
Yeah.
Violated it. The rules are out, are printed, and there's no ambiguity about them. And
Well, now I'm going to have to speak for my parents for this.
you're the one we got up here, so I'm the one I'm asking.
I know. When my parents moved into the property, they were told by multiple real estate agents that it was, being the fact that it was in a county, it wasn't, regulated as such. We found out, of course, later.
Well, we had
A few months later.
You had to have had the copies of what a minor-based business are and the regulations because you applied for it.
Well, yeah, we applied for it because we found out that we were in violation before they even moved into their house. And what I think prompted that was at the time, you see you've got the first building there to the, I guess it'll be the right-hand side of the house, was existing when they moved in. And I parked one trailer there overnight because I live 3 miles down the road. And I parked it there overnight. This was even before my parents had even moved into the house yet. And we had to move out of a commercial building out off Waldron Road. So I had to have a place to store my tools. And next thing you know, I get a letter in the mail.
So,
And that's when we got our...
a minor-based business
Yeah.
that was being violated. So what assurances do we have of you that you will conform to the major home business which you're asking for today?
Well, that's why I'm here. When they moved in, or when I parked the trailer there, and then we come check the mail, there it was. So we're like, okay, we need to get that. Because, like I said, my parents hadn't even moved in yet, and, yeah.
We're talking about what, in 2 years, you never read the regulations of the minor-based business that it existed?
I don't handle it.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry.
Joe, did you have, over here to your left?
Over here.
Yes, sir.
I guess my question is, they're not porta potties, they're trailers.
Yes.
How big is the trailer?
The longest one's 32 foot, the smallest one's 18 feet.
And they have restrooms or whatever in them?
Yeah.
Or, okay. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, they got toilets, sink, paper, I have a total of, I believe it's about 18, 19 right now, but some of them are a store off-site in a storage yard that we rent in Shelbyville.
How many are on the property?
Use your microphones, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, 8.
8, okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you. You may be seated. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. If you'll come to the podium, give us your name and any information you'd like to share. If you have several that want to speak, if you come to the right, my right over here and line up, you'll be ready to come up.
Okay, my name is William Sledge. I live at 4707 Rucker Christiana Road. I couldn't believe my eyes what was going on here. Woke up one day and there was all kinds of noise and this building's going up, and a huge building. Now I've got a garage myself at an outbuilding, and I remember standing before this body then, and they wrecked me through the coals about, they thought it was oversized, was I going to run a business out of it? And they were really concerned about it. So I see, you've got concern here too, but the fact is, this is looking like an industrial site, not a residential area. There are nice homes. It's residential. It's not made for this kind of thing. And I'm totally objecting to it. It makes me sick. One day I was coming out of my garage and I could smell something in the air. And it was a sewage smell. It was a foul odor. And I could hear a pump running, and I said, tell me that's not what that is. So, I don't approve of this at all. I object to it. I'll let my other neighbors stand and talk.
Thank you. Next. Did a good job. 1 minute.
Good afternoon. I'd like to thank the Commission for your service to the community and being able to come up here and speak on behalf of several of my neighbors in the area. My name is David Morris. I own 6 acres within 250 yards of this proposed major business. And I'm here today and I'm representing 4 property owners within 400 yards of the proposed business. We're present here at this meeting to ask the Commission to vote down the request for a major business in our neighborhood for the following reasons. Number one, the integrity of our neighborhood is at stake. Running a major business in a quiet residential neighborhood with employees and trucks and trailers entering and leaving the area will change the character of our neighborhood that we've spent many years investing in. We moved to the country to enjoy the benefits of country living without business operations right next door to us. Number two, property values. This type of business would be considered a noxious trade in that it involves porta potties and trailers and human waste. This will certainly lower our property value if the Planning Commission approves this request and will deter potential home buyers in the future. We have planned for years to build our dream home on this 6-acre lot, and now we're concerned about this porta potty business will hurt the neighborhood and will be very detrimental to the value of our home and also our other neighbors. Number three, chemicals. We are not experts by any means in the porta potty business, but from the research we've done, chemicals are used in cleaning the toilets. If there were an accident or a spill of some kind, what kind of damage will that create for the neighborhood? Would the chemical seep into the ground water and be potentially hazardous? This will be a constant concern for us, knowing or not knowing what's happening over at this proposed area. And finally, I would say this type of business should be conducted in a zone that is designed for commercial type things and not in our residential neighborhood. My wife and I have lived in this area since 2002. We love the area. We love to go out and look at stars. There's 2 horses. And this property that we're talking about is within, like I said, 250 yards of our 6 acres. And the other neighbors that I'm representing, it's right across the street. And one other comment about somebody talked about what kind of equipment, vehicles. We live on a very narrow road on Rucker Christiana Road. And there's a sharp 90-degree turn. It is a narrow road. I've walked it many times. I have driven my car off the road. And if you're driving 1-ton vehicles on this narrow road, I'm telling you, that's an issue. It's just an issue. At this time, I'm going to ask everybody that's in opposition to this request, could you please stand up? Thank you. I think the Commission, this speaks for itself. I thank you for the opportunity to represent our neighborhood. We love our neighborhood. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you.
What about the existing buildings? What do you suggest about them?
That is a very good question. I've seen this go up, and matter of fact, somebody said, these are not all the buildings that are out there. There's additional buildings. Matter of fact, if you see those 3 white dots, there's a building going like, okay. Now there's a massive building that's larger than that building in that direction. So basically, if you took a drone picture today, you've got buildings that are all the way around. They've also added another building. So you've got a whole square, if you will. And you're asking the question about what do we do about the existing buildings there? Honestly, I wish they weren't there, sir. I mean...
You mean tear them down?
Yeah, I mean, for the neighborhood, you see this big house, 5009 Rucker Christiana Road? There's 2 horses that graze through there. I mean, it's... The gentleman that was up here earlier with a beard, this is not a neighborhood to put in a major business. I mean, it's just not. And, you know, this is not the way to... Yeah, I wish the buildings were... I'm sorry, I'm not trying to create enemies, but yeah, I wish the buildings weren't there. We saw the construction of these buildings over the period of time. The Commission referenced the minor thing that was given to them or whatever. Since that was done, additional buildings have been put up. And it's a compound. I mean, there's buildings all over the place. I saw a tractor trailer come in and deliver massive amounts of wood and aluminum to create that last building. The tractor trailer was sitting out here on this road right here for hours as they were trying to unload the materials to build that building. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Next.
My name is Mike Streeter. I appreciate you folks, by the way, giving us time to hear us out. I am actually a next-door neighbor, and I'll tell you, I work up in Smyrna. I could have moved anywhere I wanted to, moved from Chicago down here a year ago. And I wanted to live out in the country. I did not want to be by a major business, and I moved to where I'm at for a reason. It is a very residential neighborhood. It is not a business-oriented neighborhood. If I wanted to live in Brentwood, I would have bought in Brentwood. If I wanted to live in Franklin, or Frankfurt, or Franklin rather, I would have moved there. I wanted to be out in the country away from business, and I enjoy where we live. I want to stay a residential area. And the question becomes, at this point, you go, how big does this grow before it's out of hand for everybody?
Thank you, sir.
Property are you? Which one?
A piece of property on just on the south side on this map.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. What are the pointers?
Sir, are you affected by odor at any time?
You know, I'll tell you, the way the picture is drawn, we are not, but it is a horseshoe shape now. There's 3 large buildings there, 1, 2, 3. It's a horseshoe shape. It covers up that area pretty well, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I smell odors there. I don't. Okay.
Thank you. Next.
Hello, my name is Elvia G. Rangel. I am the owner of the house where the circle is right there. That's 4909, right next to it. Yes, that's me. I brought pictures of how the property looks present right now. I'll show it to you. I'm not sure if I should send them to you.
Thank you.
There's a total of 7 sheds back there. I have smelled the waste on occasions. When we bought the property 15 years ago, we were presented the restrictions. And it states there that we was only supposed to do residential or agriculture buildings be met there. I believe they've been violated. They violated all our rights. My property has been affected by it. They have not one time have they even put a fence, so we don't see the view. Every single, like today, I was mowing the lawn, I counted 10 of those porta potties that I could see offhand. And it's every day, there's movement. There's another picture on my phone that they're bringing in machinery. I mean, I honestly believe it's affecting my property.
Have you actually seen porta potties, or are they the trailers?
They are porta potties. It says it there, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. And if you could search on Google, it says what they are. They call, I think, fancy restroom porta potties. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, my name is Susan Greenall. I live at 4890 Rucker Christiana Road. We are directly across from this property, so I am retired. I see them come in, come out all day long. A lot of times they are not taken straight back to the facilities. They are parked in front of the small building that you see just adjacent to the house. That was built by the original owners. It is now, I believe, used to store all their chemicals. Really don't have a speech. My concern was how many vehicles are there? Are they planning on adding? The smell, my real concern as an environmentalist is the ground contamination. Where are these being dumped at? What kind of chemicals are they using? The water, when we get rain, we flood. The rain goes down, goes across Rucker Christiana Road into the waterways that go into the Stones River. And anyway, and I guess one of my main concerns is why were these buildings allowed to be built before zoning was approved? That is just a question I can't answer, and I don't know if any of you can or if this is the right place to ask that. But, and I've done a little research. Most porta potty businesses are either in commercial zoning or they really require or would rather it be an industrialized zoning. Why it was brought out into the middle of the country, I don't know.
Thank you.
And my concern is prospective buyers. What am I to tell them? Am I obligated to tell them? We have a major business across the road that deals in human excrement, and we do not know what they do with it.
Your time is up.
My time's up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you finish quickly? Next.
My name is Bryce Brents. I live across the street, 4820 Rucker Christiana Road. I think we're all on the same page on this as neighbors, but the chemicals and environmental situation we're all kind of concerned about. Also, I mean, I haven't seen personally any porta potties are on these trailers, but even coming down, it is a very windy road, very narrow. You know, Brett and I were talking about this. I didn't get up to go to work, sit here and just to lose a third of the property value on my home. You know, we got family business right down the road. I'm also representing them. And we had to jump through a lot of hoops for the codes division. And reading this piece of paper, it kind of read like we should have had this meeting a long time ago, especially because I felt like they've been growing their business, and I hate being have to tell somebody how to run their business and, you know, kick them out, but this is not a place for this, especially because we got a beautiful setting. Like I said, man came down from Chicago to get away from this, and now we're going to lose what we're putting our life's work into. You know, what we're going to say. Personally, for me, the smell, I haven't smelt anything. Those buildings have been going up. I guess they hide it except if they're on, you know, adjacent to them or whatever. But I don't know if they did this, but we had to do the zone sign change for our property, or for my in-laws' property, and it was a lot. And now those buildings have gone, and they've been going for what, 2 years now. And I'm glad the business is growing. Congrats, I'm awesome. But this ain't where you got to do it, man. It's, sir.
Are you concerned about those buildings remaining there if this is denied?
Honestly, I could care less about the buildings. It's more, to me, is about the property value. They're not an eyesore to me. They look like stables. But like I said, those are not my problem.
I do have a question, and I don't think you can answer it.
Sure.
If there are chemicals stored there and you have porta potties, you've got methane gas, I'm wondering about explosions or things like that. I know you can't answer that. But
yeah, I mean, especially for where the neighbors and everything, I mean, I would definitely be worried. I'm across here, across the road, and like I said, that's a tough one. I don't know about that one.
Number? Which one? What's the number?
4820.
That's up in this area.
When we walk out, sir.
I don't think he's appearing, that particular address is appearing on the map. I think it's a bit further up the road.
Okay.
It stops at 4840, so.
Is that it?
Thank you very much. Next.
How y'all doing? My name is Brett Lowe. I live at 4860 Rucker Christiana Road, directly across from this. First of all, I want to say thank y'all for y'all's time here and being here. I would like for y'all to oppose this. The constant traffic, the diminished property value of having a porta potty business across the street from our residents. You cannot say it's a porta potty, but if you're dealing with human waste and you're picking up a trailer and dropping it, it's portable, it's a porta potty. You can, it's like putting lipstick on a pig. It's still a pig. The buildings have been there for a couple years. It's an eyesore, the smell, and if y'all let this go through, what's going to happen in 5 years? Who's going to regulate this? The chemicals, I mean, right now, the buildings, the porta potties that he has there now, they're not being stored in those sheds. They're being stored outside. If he decides to sell this business, if you look at the road frontage up front, they got a huge field in front of their house. They could park them right there. Who would want to step out their side of their front door and see porta potties in a field because somebody gave them the okay to open up a business there? There's plenty of places in Murfreesboro that is zoned for that kind of business, and this is a residential area. You have super nice houses all the way around. The fellow is from Chicago, the original owner who owned all that, he put in super restrictions, big restrictions on all that property to protect that $1 million house. And as Ricardo's wife was talking, the restrictions she had covered all of them, and they had very tight restrictions on exactly what they could build and what they not could build. And the people who run this porta potty business, they just pretty much just said, you know what, we're just going to run a business until we get caught. You know, I'm sorry. Oh, and now I guess we need to go legit. Let's go ahead and go through the proper channels. And if you've seen how many people that stood up, who oppose this, how many neighbors, I mean, it pretty much speaks for itself. And even if you do approve this, who's going to regulate this business? The county, the city, the residents around there? I mean, it's an eyesore, it's a smell, and it diminishes the property value most of all. Because we all go to work, our homes are our biggest investment that we have. And for somebody to come in and open up a porta potty business in that area, it's just not designed for it. The traffic, the smell, that's pretty much it. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next.
My name is Lynn Woods. I live at 4920 Rucker Christiana Road, which is directly the driveway right there outside of their driveway. And there have been times they have had semi-trailer trucks up there, just like the gentleman was speaking about before. This is a 2-lane road, no shoulders on it. If you get off, you get in the ditch. And they have tractor trailers that have come over there, and they block my driveway. I have waited for hours to get out of my driveway where they've been unloading trailers because his driveway is at a pitch, and they can't get down in there. So they sit on the main road right there, and there's no shoulders on it. If you pass them, you have to go very slowly and make sure you don't go off on the other side. So the gentleman that was up here before, y'all said his house wasn't on here. So I'm talking because my house is on here, and I'm directly right in front of them. And I oppose this, and I would hope that the commission would see that this hasn't been done in the proper channels, and it needs to be denied. And I appreciate it. Yes, sir.
Are you also opposed to the buildings that are on the property now? That would you want them taken down?
They're an eyesore. I mean, I look out my door, and all I see a house, and then you see all these buildings, and it just continually keeps going. They keep building more and more and more and more, and I'm like, when is it going to stop?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions?
Thank you. Next. All right. He only used 1 minute, so we'll give you the rest of your time.
I've got more time, right? I was up here before, William Sledge representing myself, but now I'm here representing another neighbor, Martha Eldridge, at 5209 Rucker Christiana Road, and she also opposes this because she's afraid of her property value. And she could be at a point now in her life where she might be wanting to sell that property. And with this going on, it doesn't make it look good or attractive to other people coming in the area. And she also says that this is a nice residential neighborhood and it should not be turned into some industrial site. And she's also opposed to the number of buildings that are sitting there. I mean, good grief. And she would like for them to be, some of them removed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, my name's Terry Bivens Lowe. I live at 4860 Rucker Christiana Road. Thank you all for allowing us time to speak. The overarching thing that I've heard from all of our neighbors today, there's a concern with the chemicals. Definitely you've got the sight and smell issue, but the chemicals, the ability to be able to sell our properties, with that type of business across the street. Also, Rome wasn't built in a day. These things happen in little baby steps, and this is a perfect example. It started out small, and then just a little bit at a time, it gets really big. So what does happen in the future if this structure stays and it's the next person that buys the property? What kind of business are they going to do? It's not designed for a residential area, and I would love to see them. I hate the waste, but I would love to see the sheds gone because they shouldn't have been there for a major home-based business in the first place. And I think that will future-proof our neighborhood a little bit from whoever buys it next doing who knows what. And I know there's been a lot of semantics between porta potties and luxury restrooms. I have used them both at the Indy 500, the steeplechase, and up here on the square for different events, big and small. The end result is the same. It's a collection spot. Call it a porta potty, call it a luxury restroom. It's the same seat. Same seat. Thank you all.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, I'm Carlene Davis. I'm originally from South Africa, so I hope all of you understand my English. I live in 4840 Rucker Christiana Road, and I'm a nurse. So a little bit of my upbringing, if you can say it like that, is if we spill something in a hospital, there are so many different rules to go and call someone to come and clean it up. So it's not just like, oh, take a wipe and you just wipe it off. So my main question is just, how do they get rid of this stuff? And so like all of you saw, a lot of the neighbors are just like having questions. So thank you for hearing me. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? We'll close the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, after listening to the applicant and also listening to the neighbors, a concern that I've got is an environmental issue that I have. The groundwater runoff, I don't think is being taken care of as it is required to be taken care of. So with that being, and the concerns about the buildings, I don't know what we can do about the buildings. Somebody else has to advise on that. But I want to make a motion that we deny the request based on it's a public safety and a public health issue with the groundwater runoff.
I second.
Unfortunately, when we have requests of this nature, they're just not appropriate for a neighborhood. And unfortunately, we don't want to hurt someone's business, his livelihood, but they're just places that you cannot put this kind of business. So we have a motion and we have a second. And did you want to?
Can I add some comments?
Go ahead.
Well, I would also bring item number 4. You know, we have to give the reasons why. It's not compatible with the surrounding area.
Right.
It's too big.
Right.
For a neighborhood. And I wish when this vote's over, you would explain to the neighbors that we don't deal with restrictions.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. We have a motion on the floor. We have a second. Call a roll, please.
Gary Farley.
Yes.
Amber Brown.
Yes.
Joe Machado.
Yes.
Jerry Sartain.
Yes.
William Harper.
Yes.
Renee Curtis.
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes. The next item of business is a request by Marilyn Moles, who is requesting a establishment of an outdoor entertainment and amusement service involving a paid fishing lake upon a property located in a low-density residential area. What do you have on that, please?
Thank you. Application 2021-15 involves the property at 4405 Midland Fosterville Road. It's a request for special exception approval for the establishment of an outdoor entertainment and amusement services establishment involving a paid fishing lake upon the property that's zone RL. The site is acres in area. It's located in an area that's surrounded by large tracts with single-family homes or even farms. The applicant is seeking special exception approval to establish 2 paid fishing ponds upon the property. They propose days and hours of operation to be Sunday through Saturday, 7 to 10 p.m., 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. They anticipate approximately 1 to 5 employees, and they hope to establish a sign 4x8 as advertising the business at the road, so customers will know where to turn into the property. If approved, this request would have to go before for site plan review, and any improvements will be considered and reviewed to be determined whether or not it meets the regulations, development standards in our zoning ordinance, as well as any other standards. The proposed request, if approved, would have to also continually meet the performance standards that we have for uses, non-residential uses in residential areas that are approved. Those performance standards regulate noise, smell, illumination. So the applicant, if approved tonight, still has a couple hurdles to go through site plan review. The ponds are already established on the property. They have been working with TDEC. You can dig a pond on your property. They have not established the paid fishing ponds yet. This is what they are seeking approval for. So it's not the result of zoning enforcement. We posted a sign upon the property, and this is an existing barn on the property. This is the home. The applicant recently got a permit to move their home upon the property. Now, we have received numerous phone calls in opposition to the request. A lot of the concerns related to traffic, artificial lighting, as well as the commercial nature of the business. And so I believe you'll be hearing from some people tonight. This is a concept plan that the applicant provided to us. This would be the driveway, parking area, and the 2 ponds exist on these locations and on site. And that's what the applicant's proposing at this time. And that concludes our presentation.
Do we have anyone here representing this request? If you'll come around, please. Hi. If you'll give us your name.
Marilyn Moles.
Do you have anything you want to add to this?
Yes, as far as, as far as the winter time goes, the hours may not, they're going to vary because it does get colder, it does get darker. And, it just depends on if somebody, we're going to have people call and say that they want to come over, and that way we'll know how many people will be over. And the summertime, it probably will be till 10 o'clock. We're going to start out on the weekends until we can get it going, to find out how fast it will grow or whatever. And as far as the lighting goes, we're going to have adequate lighting for the people in walkways. We're not going to have any baseball field lightings or anything like that. As far as the smell goes,
let me start this off. First thing we really want to know, what do you plan on doing with the dirt where you dig these ponds?
Oh, it's already established.
There? You don't have to do any excavation?
No, what we're doing the excavation on is after we get the house settled and get it inspected and put the dirt around the landscaping. But no, the ponds are already taken care of. We've got the grass grown. We've got straw matting down around it. It's already finished.
So your pond is already set?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I went through Brandon Yates with...
You won't be expanding it or anything else to it?
No, not at this present moment.
Okay.
But Brandon, with TDEC, he did say, in the future, he gave us a certain guideline that we could go through and the map of the wetlands and area, but he said, we're working with him, so in order for us to do anything, I have to call and he has to come out and investigate it and tell us what he thinks.
So the ponds were already dug when you bought it, or they've been dug since you've been there?
No, there was 2 ponds on the lot when we bought it, but they're small ponds, and they already had fish in those. But the ones that we dug, I went through the Tennessee, went through them.
Where did the dirt go from those? Where's that dirt at?
It's up around the ponds.
So it's still on the same property?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How many people are you all wanting to have on this at one time?
I mean, I really don't know. We shouldn't have more than 30 people at a time, hopefully. I mean, we may have less than that. I don't know. I mean, we're just trying to do it basically we're doing it because there's nowhere you can go safe to fish. I mean, for little kids and for handicapped people, for the veterans, for people to come in and be in a friendly environment that's safe. That's basically what we're doing it for, because there's nowhere around here to do that.
Are you all planning to have what they call maybe a fishing rodeo or anything like that, bigger events?
No. I mean, there may be later on, depending on, we might have, if the Cub Scouts want to come over or any school academic people or something like that, then maybe yes, but that's down the line.
What would be the most people that you all would want to, would you say that you would limit it at?
With the 2 ponds, I would say between both of them, maybe 25 people per pond.
So 50 people total?
Yeah, if it gets that big, I don't know.
Is the driveway and the road there capable of handling that much traffic?
Yes, sir.
2
yes,
lanes?
Sir. Yeah, I've got 2 entries. I can have it in and an out, but the parking and everything is in the front, which is, it's 600 feet entryway from my property line to property line.
So Midland Fosterville Road is big enough to handle that much more traffic?
As far as the road itself, I mean, I wouldn't think that it would make much more difference than what's going on over there now. I mean, there's dump trucks and everything doing the subdivisions down the road, and I mean, there's no wrecks, there's no traffic, there's no problems right now.
Question?
Yeah, wait just a minute. We got Amber over here. Amber.
Just curious if you've reached out to your neighbors just to kind of get their thoughts on what you're wanting to bring into the community.
We have discussed it, especially the people on the right-hand side of us. They've known about it since we moved over there, and they haven't said anything up until this past weekend about the concerns. And then the people that own the airport on the other side of us, because there's a bunch of commercial property that's all around us. And, I mean, we talked to them a couple weekends ago, and they didn't really voice any opinions either way, so.
Bill?
Is this fishing from the shore only, or you're thinking about boats?
No, it's just from the shore.
Gary?
So, would there be any night fishing?
Yes.
Would you be agreeable that there be no outside lighting?
There will be no outside lighting at all. We're going to have some low voltage lighting.
For the ponds and such, that would keep your whole area lit up for the neighborhood?
No. When people fish, I mean, it's going to be adequate where people won't fall over anything, like low voltage lighting, but nothing that's going to be bright, because obviously when you fish, you want it quiet and you want it dark.
So you said 25 people for each pond. That can be 50 cars, and plus your own cars.
Right. May not be all at one time. I mean, there may be 5 people come in, 5 people leave, or.
I think what Gary was asking you is how many people would you allow there at one time? I mean, you can't have 50 people lined up around the.
We would have to get with evidently those, and find out what the parking, how much they would allow. I mean, we'll be working with them.
That's what we're working on right now.
I mean, if it's. I'd have to we haven't gotten that far yet. We're just trying to get it passed, find out what we can do, and then accommodate everybody's needs.
I see. Okay, that's all I got.
Any other questions? Thank you. You may be seated. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. We can line up over here if you prefer to do that, as we did before.
Good afternoon. My name is Todd Foote. I live at the adjoining property just east of the property in question at 4281 Midland Fosterville Road. Our biggest concerns here are the safety, such as in the traffic. When you're going to have at least 50 people out fishing on these two ponds, the amount of traffic is going to increase significantly. You know, you've got this much traffic coming in and out of there, especially they've actually got a Facebook page they've already started up stating that they're going to be open from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week. That's 2/3 of the week. I live right next door. My bedroom window is literally less than 300 feet away from the pond and from the facility that they have there, and I have documentation of that if you'd like to see it. You know, we moved out there to we lived in Murfreesboro. We moved out there to get away from all the noise and the hustle and the bustle of the city life. We moved out there for a peaceful area, and it's very peaceful. We have great neighbors. You can see everybody lined up right here are our neighbors. They're in the community. Everybody knows each other. We've yet to meet the folks. They've not introduced themselves to us or give us any intention of what they were doing until we found out they were planning on putting this catfish pond up for an amusement. So can you imagine sitting in your bedroom, open the curtains at 7 o'clock in the morning, and somebody sitting over there fishing? Not me. That's not what I want to see, especially out in Midland. Midland's a peaceful area. We want to keep it that way. Not just the traffic, but just when you have that many people coming out there, I just think it's an opportunity for things that people may not be doing what they need to be doing. Our safety, our security, our privacy is all at jeopardy here. You know, our property value, you know, we moved out there 11 years ago. Our property values increased, just like anybody else's. Y'all know how the economy is right now, especially housing, property. Our property value is probably not going to go very much higher if this place is opened up. I think it'll actually decrease. Another thing that we're very concerned about is just the lighting at night, the noise. You know, and y'all were talking about smell earlier about this other guy, but, you know, dead fish smell. You know what happens with dead fish sitting out there in the middle of the field? You increase buzzards flying around. We got plenty of them out there anyway from all the roadkill that's out there in the area, but, you know, it could increase from that as well.
You need to finish up, sir. Excuse me? Your time is running out.
Okay. Well, I urge you to disapprove this process. You know, from recent meetings with all my neighbors, they all stand pretty much firm where I stand on this. I hope your decision is made based on the many in the community and not based on just the one that's trying to make a profit at the expense of others. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next.
I am Tabitha Foote. That was my husband at 4281 Midland Fosterville Road. I don't know them. They've been there since the end of summer, the beginning of fall. They bought the property. I don't have a clue who they are. They have never once come over and introduced themselves to us. We have been very kind as a neighborhood. We listened to generators run while they lived in RVs for months before getting electricity. No one complained, no one called or said anything. We never expected that there were going to be catfish ponds built and then open up to the public to come out and to fish. We have teenage children at home. The last thing I want is people that don't or aren't part of our community coming out. My kids won't feel safe to go outside. I don't feel safe to open up my bedroom window, and I have anxiety very bad. First thing in the mornings in our home, all our windows are open. I can't stand to be closed in. They come open. I don't want people looking in. You can see straight in our bedroom from their property. And all of this is up on the main road. I mean, the ponds are on the main road, the parking is on the main road. And obviously, there's no definite answer on to how many people they think they'll have out there. It's almost like they don't have a clue, really, what their plan is.
Are there any trees lining your property between the two?
There are trees that have been there for years, but they're trees that literally go up and they're large at the top. They're not for privacy. They're just trees that have been there probably 100 years, full grown. So I'm asking to oppose it. I feel like it's very shady. I feel like it's unsure. Facebook page says they plan to open the end of May. They have over 1,000 likes. Of course, just because you like a page does not mean you plan on coming to fish there or that you support what's going on. Maybe it's just your friend or buddy or whatever, and they don't consider because you're not their next door neighbor. So I just ask that we oppose this.
Thank you. Next.
My name is Eloise Gaither. I live at 4236 Midland Fosterville Road, and I live within the 500 feet of Ms. Mo's property. And we have a quiet neighborhood, and I'm concerned about the increase in traffic if this application is approved. And I'm also concerned about the noise that will come from the outdoor entertainment and the amusement services and the long hours of operation. And this is why I'm opposed to the application.
Thank you. Well said. Next.
Hi, my name is Linda Roberts. I live at 4243 Midland Fosterville Road, where the property also adjacent to this property in question. Our family and I moved here 13 years ago, and we chose this property because we like the charm and peace of living in a rural community. We met most of our neighbors who share our values and love for our neighborhood. We're a close-knit group who mind their own business but keep each other and help each other when we can. Prior to moving here, my husband and I did live in a mixed-use community. It was residential and commercial. And we understand the shortcomings of mixing business with residential. We don't want to see that happen in our community now. I believe zoning regulations are put into place to guarantee safety and a peaceful enjoyment of your property, and also to maintain property values. For us, safety is paramount. Traffic on Midland Fosterville Road is quite intense at times. Cars speed by, and there have been a considerable amount of accidents at the curb west of my home. Not sure if it's in that picture or not. Adding a commercial operation will increase traffic and accidents that go along with that traffic. Order is another thing I'm concerned with. I understand what's being proposed is a pretty open-ended request for a facility to be open to the public from 7 a.m. till 10 p.m. 7 days a week. This would bring extensive traffic, noise, and lights to a quiet neighborhood and disturb the peaceful enjoyment of our homes. Prosperity for me is another concern. My family and neighbors are also concerned. Our 2 children have chosen to build their homes here and have secured building permits. Their choices were made based on the current makeup of our community and prior to any request to change its dynamics by citing a commercial operation in the middle of a residential area. I think you'll agree that citing a commercial operation open to the public will negatively affect our present and future property values.
You need to finish up.
I'm almost done, okay. I understand uses are decided on a case-by-case basis, and the board considers the current makeup of the area prior to making any decisions. So based on my concerns and those of other members of the community, I'm urging you to deny this application. Please don't allow the character and makeup of our neighborhood to be destroyed by a commercial intrusion. I also have 2 letters from my children. They both own properties. The first, there's 3 properties there. The first and second, I was going to read them, but...
We'll put that in the record.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next.
I'm Vivian Hill.
I live directly across the road from this property. I'm at 4352 Midland Fosterville Road. My major concern is property values. We moved here from Texas to a quiet country, rural area that we would like to see stay that way. We've had horses, we've had animals, but we don't have them anymore. But most of it around there have been animals, cows, cattle. Those were no problem. They don't bother anybody. But we're primarily concerned about the property values out in that area. Adding a commercial piece of property right in the middle of a bedroom community or a quiet country community is not what we desire. So we really have a concern about our property values and the amount of traffic on our road. Like she said earlier, the traffic down at the end of our road was a sharp curve. They must have at least 3 wrecks there every few months. So we have plenty of traffic out in our area. We've joked, we've said when we first moved there, if we sat on our porch and 5 cars went by in a day, it would be time to move. Well, now it's not 5, it's like 50 or 100 cars that are going by there, so we haven't moved yet, and we don't plan to go. But we'd like the committee to consider it and deny the claim, deny the permit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
Thank you, members of the board. My name's Joe Roberts. I have property adjacent to this requisition, and on 4243 Midland Road, that's where I live. My property is contiguous to their applicant. This is not a prejudice or a personal attack on anyone. We haven't even met the people, so it is not an attack on a person. The application establishes a paid outdoor entertainment with amusement service, including paid fishing ponds. Well, I don't know why they made an application for the paid fishing ponds. They went ahead and put them in. They're already there. The fishing ponds were dug prior to the application. Many yards of soil were removed. And the topography of the land, to answer the question somebody asked here, where did you put the dirt? They raised the property. So, because it's a very wet property, and they used the dirt to raise the perimeters around the ponds. I mean, this only did with no silt fences or anything like that, and before the application, before anybody went over there, this only made a drain off to both sides of the property. If you look at the property, it's a very narrow. I can hide it and say, oh, it's 41 acres. No, it's 41 narrow, a quarter of a mile back. That's what it is. You do not have a lot of room in the front. And of course, it's facing directly to the other people that just spoke. They're very concerned. It's been disturbed. The drainage is diverted to the neighbors. Probably some neighbors are going to tell you that. I am very concerned that all this was done prior to the application of the permit. To operate a business and may set a precedent for the future development of a property. If somebody's going to act like this and make movements of so severity, how can we allow them to have an amusement permit with an open end? We're carrying a Trojan horse or a Pandora's box here. You will suffer from complaints from now forever. The threat to us comes in many forms: safety, noise, decrease in property values. Yes, that's true. We live on one of the wider roads. We live on one of the wider roads in the county, and the speed has become pretty fast there. And yes, there's a lot of accidents. I know somebody mentioned, oh, there's very few accidents. Now, on the contrary, just up the road from there, not even an eighth of a mile, there's a 90-degree bend, and accidents there all the time. Matter of fact, the neighbors had to put up big berms to catch the cars. We feel this operation will generate excessive noise. Yes, it will. If you have people yelling and kids yelling around there, and I love kids, don't get me wrong. I have a couple of my own. I wish they go away sometimes. I feel this will be an attractive nuisance. And when I say that is because I grew up in the country, and there's been a lot of mud ponds around, and every one of them has took the life of a kid. Even our Duck River takes several lives a year. When you have water, you have an attractive nuisance, like an unguarded swimming pool is the same thing. And you say, oh, there's people living there. No, we're always going to lose somebody in a swimming pool. The reduction, yes, I could be...
Sir, you need to finish up.
Okay, sir, please don't subvert the reality of the paid entertainment establishment. We are concerned that the value of the properties and the quality of our life would change drastically, especially around 12 houses, and they're right in the center of it. You are the stewards of our community, and I know that's a terrible job to sit there sometimes. I was on the ZBA, Zoning Board of Appeals, in my town, and I know it's a thankless job and it's hard to do. However, when it came to affecting this many people in that short of an area, it's very important that we uphold a community, especially if it comes out. If there's somebody positive and the majority is positive, I'll rest my case.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Questions?
Any questions?
Got a question over
yes,
here.
Sir.
Did they reach out to you at all, sir?
No, not at all.
And
We
you want the ponds eliminated?
Pardon me?
Do you want the ponds eliminated?
No, I don't mind that. The pond, you know, but I would like to go through soil advisement. I can't just say, give me a bulldozer and go through and make a 6-foot, 8-foot pond and think it's not going to be an attractive nuisance or a danger. Muddy ponds are a magnet. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Next.
My name is Al Hill. I live at 4352 Midland Fosterville Road, which is right across the road. I've been there for 30 years, and the reason I'm there is because it's in the country, and it was residential, and I want it to stay that way. The other problem we got is Midland Fosterville Road. I don't know how many of you are that familiar with it, but look, it's got all the traffic it can handle now. And where their property is and my property, if you go off that road, not only are you going through the ditch, you're going through fencing. There's no curbing on it. There's nothing on it. And a quarter mile down the road is a 90-degree turn, and they're having wrecks there all the time. The other thing I'm concerned with is property value. I don't want my property value dropped. And again, I moved there because I was out in the country. I do not think this kind of business is conducive for the type of area we got, because it's all residential. If you're in a residential area, you want somebody to come in and open up a business, I don't care what it is, in the middle of everybody? I don't think so. And I'm asking for it to be denied. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next.
Good afternoon. Thanks, Al. My name is Ben Connor. I live adjacently due west of this property in question. We have the most property line next to the property in question. We moved out there for the same reasons everybody else is out there. We are currently trying to build a house on this property now. Right now, that's all in question pending this outcome. We already have problems with the ponds that are there. I do have some pictures I would like to submit as well. The ponds,
just hand them to me.
Absolutely. The ponds right now, you may have to sort through them. There's quite a few in there. They drain on our property. There's a pond. Anything that's floating on their pond will float directly onto my property right now. So we already have issues with this. My big concern, number one, is our environmental issues with this as well. There's a good aerial shot somewhere that will show you as well what I'm sorry, yeah, I thought I was talking loud enough here, so. But my big concern is environmental issues already with these ponds and the haphazard way these were dug. As Joe mentioned earlier, the dirt is there and it raised the property of their land, the elevation, if you will. So where does that water run off now? I can tell you where it runs off, okay? My other concern with this would be safety, all right? We're hearing 50 people right next to where we want to build a house, all right? Listen, as an airline pilot and former law enforcement officer, I deal with public all the time. And you cannot guarantee safety. You cannot predict and tell me what the public is going to do when they show up to your property. 50 people a day in and out of there, all right? I have kids, right next to this. My daughter is looking forward to farming this property, all right? I have a son with special needs. Very sensitive to noises, right? What am I supposed to do? We just bought this, right? We just bought this property to build out there, and now this. So It's my appeal that you deny this. This is, I already have concerns. I don't know where to go. Looking at their, digging into this a little more, looking at their Facebook page that somebody mentioned, this is just the beginning, okay? Just to quote what they had put on some of their Facebook page, it's not just a catfish farm. This is going to, it's going to have archery, trap shooting, guided hunts. All that's going to include strangers coming to this property with firearms. So let's throw that in there as well, all right? So I don't know where this is going to end, but I know where it starts, and it's right here. So, did you see the pictures?
We're passing them around.
Okay, I'm happy to point out property lines and where the water egress is as well. Okay. So if I can answer any questions, I'll be happy to.
Thank you, sir. Next. We'll get the pictures back to you. Okay. Sorry about that.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Connor. We have property that we just bought about 2.5, 3 years ago, directly west of the property in question as well. My main concerns are pretty much the same as the rest of our community, our surrounding community. Safety, traffic, noise, the smell from rotting fish, but mostly just the safety of my children. It was my husband who just spoke, and we have a teenage daughter, and I don't want her outside when there's 50 different people outside that we don't know. It scares me to leave her outside, even though she is a teenager, but she's going to be helping on our property. I don't want her outside with unknown strangers. Our son, he's a special needs child, and it's hard for him to be around really loud noises and just strange noises that he's unfamiliar with. So I'm just concerned about where that might go as well, with the different hours and early morning hours. They're school aged. What's that going to do in the spring and the fall when they're in school? How's that going to affect their school hours and things like that? But we mostly moved out there for the peace and quiet. We like to sit outside and enjoy the night sky where we can see the stars and hear the birds and the crickets, and we don't want to be hearing kids yelling across ponds and strangers. What happens if somebody brings alcohol onto the property? We don't know if that could happen too, so that's another safety issue. So, but I just thank you guys for hearing our stories today and our concerns, and we appreciate everything that you do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Question,
Next.
did they reach out to you at all?
We reached out to them first.
Next.
My name's Mark Crawley. I live at 4566 Midland Fosterville Road, which is just west and towards the curve that's in question. My wife and I moved to that location, will be 7 years in September. We moved there from Antioch. I couldn't get out of there fast enough and have known nothing but peace and enjoyment since we've been there. Love living there. I've had people call me and say, "Can we buy your place?" I said, "I don't want to talk to you. Have no need to talk to you. Thank you." All that said, I really like where I live, and I'd like to continue to like where I live. The bigger concerns that I have personally have been mentioned or brushed at. I had a chance to research, look at their Facebook page. Very vague, very broad, and I understand. When I moved into my house, I didn't want somebody coming and saying, "Well, you can't have your chickens, and you can't have bees, and you can't whatever. You can't put a garden that big. That's too big." I believe a man's property is a man's property or a woman's property, whoever. Use it as you will. But don't degrade the value and the enjoyment of the neighbors. And I believe that's what's about to happen. I believe we're looking, you hear this term used often, a slippery slope. Well, today we have 2 fishing ponds, which, as far as I knew, were going to be somebody's tilapia ponds. I don't know if, it's an agricultural area. But tomorrow we have 4-wheeler tracks, and we have a petting zoo, and we have camping, and who knows? The sky's the limit, because it even states that on the Facebook page, and more and more. I mean, I even saw some allusion to some cannabis dispensing or something of that nature. I don't want that in my area. That may be totally wrong. I do not know. I don't mean to stir or create a false impression there, but I do know that I like the piece of where I live, and my appeal to you all is help us retain that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next.
Who's just going to ask? I don't want to go beyond my time, Mr. Cantrell. What is my time, please?
We'll give you time.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm Lee Crawley, that's my husband, Mark. And so we are the house on the corner, not on the far corner, but the house next door, across the street. So when I look this way, I look at the property in question. I also have pictures. We've been at our house for 6.5 years, and we love it. People come to our house, and they say it's like a retreat. We look at an Angus farm behind us, and we just love where we live. I have a petition also with all the neighbors that are here, plus others that weren't able to come. We have I also got a text while we were here. I have 28, I'd like to submit petitions of neighbors along this road, direct neighbors. We moved in 6.5 years ago, and the lady on the far corner, there's this curve we've been hearing about. She's been there 20. And the pictures that I'm submitted regarding traffic, she says, I'm so tired of rebuilding my fence. She got a pile of gravel. I tried to get that in requisition that from the 911, 911 dispatch, and they said you have to have the event date. So I tried to get those documentations for the last 6 years. No exaggeration, my husband and I can count 6 occurrences of accidents at that corner where people, not just during the winter, but during the summer when it's rainy, there is no guardrail. We've contacted Brooks that does the highway, and there's no sign, so therefore when you come around, all of a sudden it's an S-curve, and all of a sudden you're there, and people go up that gravel, and it usually is at 10 o'clock at night. The sirens come. There's been 6 incidents in the last year. We've been there 6.5. There's been, each year there's some. And so that's the neighbor that's trying to make an effort. For one thing, she doesn't want people running into her pasture where she has horses, but then to just preserve her, her property. So yes, there is a major traffic issue. There's 2 new developments that are down the road. The Smyrna Ready Mix, this was years ago, but down on the other end of the road, there literally is an old shop, cinder block building, where he lost control, and there's a big hole where the concrete truck went through it. And I was going to send that picture, but I thought, it's older. But they fly down that road, and then they come to my corner, and I'm the second house before the corner there. I do want to address what was said earlier about all these commercial properties. There are not commercial properties in our neighborhood that bring traffic. Yes, there is a private airport. There's maybe 2 cars there. There is not traffic related to that private airport. There is a home-based, there's a home-based business, that's adjacent to this, where there's landscaping done, but there's not anything done on site. They just leave their cars there. So there's not any traffic congestion from immediate neighbors. The last thing I want to say is I did submit in paperwork. I asked and requested from the Planning Commission since 2017, how many special exception applications have been submitted in this category for the amusement services, and there's been 7. One was approved, it was an archery range. One was withdrawn, I believe it was a gun range, and there was 5 that were denied. One was a motocross track, the second was an ATV track, the third was a roping barrel lessons, and the fourth was a fish farm, and the fifth was a soccer facility. So we've had, by looking at this, it looks like we're kind of on the same vein of what maybe possibly y'all as individuals have ruled on before. In closing, I want to say that our community is residential. It's as those that are here, we buy out in the country because we love the country. And I have nothing against starting a fish farm. I think it's a great idea. It's just the wrong location. It should have been chosen for a more appropriate setting to be able to build out. In this day of the mask stuff, it's great to get outside. It's just the wrong location. And so I don't want that I'm opposed to it altogether. It's just with the wrong property was...
Can you kind of...
The wrong property was purchased. I just wanted to ask everyone that is opposed to this petition, opposed to this application, to please stand. Thank you. Thank you, Board.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time. Thank you all so much. Okay.
Next.
My name's Dwayne Hicks, and in full disclosure, I do not live near you guys, and I totally understand your concerns, and I really do. But what I've heard tonight, Ms. Moles has been a friend of mine for over 30 years, and she's trying to do what's right and have a small business where she's at. What I'm hearing is totally unknown issues. You don't know how many people she's going to have. You don't know how much light she's going to produce. You don't know how much, and I understand, and I would be concerned as well. However, what I would ask is this board, even if you approve this tonight, you're not going to approve her going to work tomorrow. It still has to go to the Planning Commission. So what I would implore the board to do is send this to the Planning Commission. You guys show up at the Planning Commission, send them paper, whatever your concerns are, let the Planning Commission address those. They decide parking, they decide lighting, they decide all those issues at the Planning Commission. At least give her a chance to sit down. I know she's not contacted you already, and I've heard that over and over. But what I think she's explained to me that she wants to do would be great. And I think if it was eliminated, no guns. If it's eliminated, no ATVs. If there were actually specific rules and regulations she had to follow, and the Planning Commission will require that she can't have but so many parked cars, and they will require that the lighting not go off the property. And the lighting she's talking about is life safety lighting, and you don't want people standing around a pond walking back and forth to cars in the dark. You want to make sure they're safe. So I would just ask you to send this to the Planning Commission. You all have time to talk to her and her to you. Whatever stipulations you have, let's work it out at the Planning Commission. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I know your time is limited right here. There are people waiting for this spot, and they're standing out there waiting on you. You have heard what my telephone has heard for about the last 2 weeks from this community out there. This is a very close community. I know personally from the fact that I represent them, you've heard their concerns, you've heard what they're concerned about, and I think that is what you'll have to base your opinion on tonight and what they're seeing right there. The property is located fairly close to a lot of homes in that area right there. Currently, right now, there's not very much buffering around where these ponds are located, and these people do have their what they're looking at, what they're seeing. They have not been contacted, and I think that's one of the things that's a lot of the problem right there. There has not been a lot of communication. But thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner. You may have a question here.
Commissioner, I'm going to ask you, just like I asked every commissioner that comes up here, what's your recommendation to us about this tonight?
I have to say that Mr. Moles, I believe called me several weeks ago, and when he called me, my understanding was that he was going to build lakes. I think that's what he told me, and he had a lot of different ideas that was in that. The way I understood it, and of course it was just a phone call is what he basically gave me, and that the phone call that I received was talking about 41 acres, and what I understood, he said he had a lot of wooded area and things like that, and I thought that's where this would be. I did not realize these ponds were going to be right out on the road where they were located, right there. I'm sort of concerned about the location of where this is and where it is with these houses and what there. From what I'm looking at right now, I would have to deny it, is what I'm saying.
Okay, thank you. And I've got a question to staff. How did we find out about this?
Wait just a minute. We're not finished here. Thank you, Commissioner.
Talking about the Planning Commission and putting a parking lot, these pictures show you there is nothing but wetland on the back side of this. There is nothing that can be done to put a parking lot anywhere else except on the front side next to the road. So as far as going to Planning Commission and how this all gets laid out, this stays continuously wet. So if you guys would like to see any of these are what the property looks like from my bedroom window, from our property line. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? We'll close the public hearing. You have some questions.
I've got a question for staff. How did we find out about this? Did they come in and ask for this, or was it found on a code inspection violation or something, a complaint?
The applicant originally, I think after the purchase, came in and asked some general questions, and then we did get some complaints regarding the RV being located on the property. That's unrelated to this. We also had some complaints because I think what people were concerned about was that they were establishing the pond as if it was already approved, and it wasn't. They haven't established the fishing pond. The ponds are there, but they're not advertising for Pay Lake. It's not open for business, so it's not a violation that they're trying to remedy. But there were issues, and the applicant has worked with staff and TDEC to resolve any of the previous complaints about the pond and the RV, so they're legitimate.
All right, thank you.
Yes, I was going to just ask Danielle if anything about archery or trap or any of the other activities that we're being told was advertised was expressed to you.
I haven't heard anything about the archery or the guided hunts. The applicant has discussed some ideas that they have long-term.
But
those ideas would require rezoning.
This is for fishing though, right?
This is all you're considering is paid lakes today.
Okay, well, I'll just have a couple of comments. The pictures I saw, those are small ponds, and I don't see how they would support 50 people fishing. Alcohol sales, is there going to be other entertainment? Nothing. See, we didn't get very much explained to us. Well, we don't know what we're going to do. Well, we're going to have a hard time approving what you don't know you're going to do. In my opinion, that lot is too narrow to put a sufficient space between the activity and the neighbors that are around it. And if you'll accept a motion, I'll make a motion to deny.
Second.
I have a feeling about this that it's probably not a viable business to begin with. I don't know if we can just allow someone to start digging a hole in their front yard and start charging for fishing. I don't know if that would even fly. The question I really have, is this appropriate type of business for out anywhere? to just dig a hole, and we're going to start charging. I'm not sure people would do that to begin with, to come in and pay. Where you're going to get your fish, you're going to put your fish in there. I don't know if that's a viable business, appropriate business that we have, that we should approve. Now, we had one similar to this out at Walter Hill, which we made a decision at that time that was not appropriate. Now, there was no building there. So you do have a precedent on that. So we have a motion. Do we have a second before we?
I'll second, but I didn't know if we were open for comment. I'm just curious about the neighbors who are being negatively impacted with the runoff because of the digging of the pond. So is that something, if we deny this request, will they have to put it back to the state it was before? Like the dirt, will the dirt have to go back and the ponds be no more? In so many words.
Well, I mean, they can have people there fishing if they want to, but they can't be a business.
What I understand is, if you can't create a problem for your neighbor by digging or whatever, if you cause water to go on somebody else's property, that is a violation, and the county engineer would need to look into that. Is that correct?
We get calls on a regular basis throughout the county when an activity has taken place on a property and its calls run off on another property owner, and each one gets investigated. I don't believe we've had a specific complaint regarding these ponds and surrounding properties.
I think we have tonight.
Right. So, but you can call our department.
Maybe
Yes, sir.
Nick might want to respond to this.
I think Danielle has pretty much covered it. If there's an issue with a violation of our stormwater ordinance, that would be investigated by the stormwater department. If there's not a technical violation and there are property owners that are adjoining that have civil disputes about trespass of water, they are within their rights to go to court over that issue amongst themselves.
And that's why I bring it up, because of knowing that. But we've been tonight, we as a county body and the county staff has actually been told and put on notice of a situation that we do need to check it out, whether it's right or it's wrong. You know, it does need to be looked into and investigated. So, and then the outcome will be the outcome.
Any other comments? We got a motion on the floor. We got a second. Call the roll, please.
May I ask for a clarification of the motion, please? Okay.
I vote to deny based on the impact it has on the neighbors. It's not far enough away from the surrounding neighbors to not have a negative impact upon their quality of life. It's item number 4.
The compatibility.
Compatibility.
Okay. All right.
Sorry,
and I'll still
you got
support that second.
Okay, call the roll, please.
Gary Farley.
Yes.
Amber Brown.
Yes.
Joe Machoto.
Yes.
Jerry Sartain.
Yes.
William Harper.
Yes.
Renee Curtis. Yes. Zane Cantrell.
Yes. The next item of business we have is a request by William Davis, who is requesting establishment of a major home business involving indoor baseball training facility. What do you have on that, please?
Thank you. Application BZA 2021-16 involves the property at 10307 Taylor Road. They are seeking special exception approval to allow the establishment of a major home-based business involving an indoor baseball training facility for a property located in the RL zone. It's a 15-acre site, and the applicant has obtained a permit to build an accessory structure, a detached accessory structure, which measures 10,000 square feet in area. Within that structure, the applicant is planning to establish batting cages as well as use of this building for storage. He's planning to offer private lessons and host team practices. He's not proposing to have any employees. No signage is proposed, but if he were to be approved as a major home-based business, he would be permitted to have a 5 square foot sign. And the days, hours and days of operation, according to the applicant, will vary based on the weather and the demand, but the applicant has indicated that activities would not take place on a daily basis. However, during camps that might be offered at the site, there may be up to 100 players on site at any given time during that camp. We received one informational call regarding this request, but no one indicated opposition. And that concludes our presentation.
Do we have anyone here representing this request? If you'll come around, please.
William Davis.
Do you have anything else you want to add to this?
I have nothing else to add.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you mean?
How about
I don't have anything to add.
Yeah, but how about elaborating on what you're wanting to do out there?
Oh, so the facility will just be for, the facility that's there now, I did put cages there for 3 years, and we've been doing it for the last 3 years now. And so the problem is we have no storage in the facility anymore because of the cages. So we want to build a larger facility to still offer for my teams to practice when bad weather, mainly during winter, or bad weather during normal seasons. And then that way I can store my equipment somewhere as well.
So you already had the equipment there now as a business?
No. I was only, so I do not charge anything for people to come there now at all.
But you're going to be charging with
that was never the intent. This was just something that was recommended, that if we do this, we go this route. And so when we started this, we went ahead and went the full range. That way we had the option, and we didn't have to do this moving forward in the future.
So, but technically, it's going to wind up being your business that you'll be charging people to come in.
I could offer people to do lessons and things. Yes, I could do that with what we're doing. Yeah.
How much traffic?
No more than a couple teams at a time, and probably no more than one.
How many is? When you say teams, is that?
Yeah. So anywhere from 10 to 15 players on a team. So no more than probably 30.
Who are the students that you'll be targeting?
This is mainly travel ball.
Pardon?
Travel ball. Anywhere from right now 10 to 18s.
You don't have neighbors right now, do you? Like in close proximity to you?
No, ma'am. Only the people that are directly across from the building.
Okay.
Renee?
Do what? Oh, sorry. Okay.
Have you spoken to those people across the road?
Yes, we have. They know what we're doing.
And?
They have no restrictions. They actually enjoy the fact that they see kids out there.
So would they be dropping kids off and doing that, or they come on a bus, or every kid's going to have a mom and daddy?
So typically it's probably 50-50. Some of them do drop off, and then some of them stay.
Yeah. So do you have places for the parents to stay while the kids are doing whatever they're doing?
No, so most of the time right now and probably in the future, they usually sit in their cars and wait.
Okay.
Joe?
Just, I think you said this, but go over it one more time. How many people during a day's time and at the most you'll have there at one time?
Probably no more than 25 to 30. And during the day, probably not very much. Maybe weekends would be during the day. During the weekdays, it would be more after 5 p.m.
You said 25 or 30, so you're
Yes.
going to have anywhere from 25 to 30 cars maybe there?
Potentially. But that's if they stayed too. But like I mentioned, most of the time it's 50-50, people dropping off and leaving and then returning to pick their child up.
Bill?
Do you have restroom facilities and eating facilities?
I do not have restrooms or eating facilities. I do not have either. Did he say restroom? He did say restroom. Okay, I just want to make sure.
all of your activities will be indoors, is that correct?
That's correct.
Any other questions? Thank you, may be seated.
Okay, thank you.
We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing.
I move to approve.
Say that again.
To approve, motion to approve.
And second.
We have a second. Any further questions, comments? Call the roll, please.
Gary Farley.
Yes.
Amber Brown.
Yes.
Joe Machoto.
Yes.
Jerry Sartain.
Yes.
William Harper.
Yes.
Renee Curtis. Zane Cantrell.
Yes. Do you have anything else?
No, sir.
That's it. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, audience, for a good